Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
Good Friday afternoon to you. Faith Friday on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and Coping with COVID is brought to you by SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, which, by the way, if you're having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Centers. Coping with COVID is also brought to you by Palmetto Media Connections, and we're so excited about our new sponsors, the Comet Bus System, sponsoring Don't Miss Your Shot. You can catch the Comet for free to get your vaccine. Also, Computers Unique Duck Square Mall, professional, reliable, affordable, and trustworthy computer sales and service. Call Daniel if you need that and more. And Javis Tax Service, celebrating 20 years of providing expert financial services to South Carolina. Well, as I said, it is Faith Friday. Time to get motivated, inspired, and encouraged. And today we're joined by a woman who I've admired and respected for years, Investigator Chandra Cleveland. Not only is she a bad, strong, beautiful, powerful, sharp investigator in heels, she protects, informs, and advocates for women and girls in turmoil. Today, she'll share her journey, how she became the leading expert in trafficking and the amazing things that are coming up in her life. Chandra, thank you so much for joining us today on Faith Friday. We've been trying for a long time to get this interview together.
I know, it's been a go. My schedule is quite crazy.
I know. That's a good thing.
Blessed.
That's a good thing, though. So we look forward to talking to you coming up next on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. Today is the final day to update your address for DSS with the pandemic EBT. Now, the funds being given to parents for students who missed school meals will be mailed EBT cards beginning next month. But many of those payments were returned last time due to incorrect information. Connolly Ann Ragley with DSS spoke to us about it last week right here on Coping with COVID.
When children are not physically at school, they're not being fed at school, and this will be a benefit that will help parents provide and care for their children, because we know that school is so much more than just a place to learn. Yeah. It's a safe space, and it's sometimes where it might be the only nutritious meal that a child receives during the day is when they're physically at school. So that's just, just a highlight of why it's so important. And PEBT is a federal program, and just like when we did it this summer, it's designed to provide food benefits to children who have temporarily lost access to those free or reduced price meals because school has been physically closed because of COVID-19.
Right. So if you got it this summer, you'll get it again this time, correct?
Yes. Now, we do want folks to verify their address.
Okay.
Now, again, the criteria is a little bit different this time because of this summer, the schools were, physically closed as well. but we want to make sure that we're meeting those 3 criteria. And that we are asking families to verify their address on the DSS website. If you go to dss.sc.gov and look for the big red apple on our website, that's where you can find our frequently asked questions, as well as the portal for families to update and verify their address. And the reason that we're doing this is because we want to be proactive, because when we put them out last summer, we had thousands of cards that were returned to the agency, and that those were benefits that were delayed to families that really needed them the most. And so we really wanted, again, be proactive. We don't want any delays to help get these cards out to the families. And once we're asking families to verify their address between now and March 19th on our website, and we expect those cards to start going out mid-April to addresses.
Now, again, visit the DSS website, click the big red apple, as Conley Ann said, and update the information. There are 22,000 students in Richland 1 that qualify for the PBET. 60,000 in Richland 2 are eligible. But again, you must update the information, and you must do it today. The CDC says students can now sit 3 instead of 6 feet apart safely if they are wearing masks. Now, the agency also recommends removing those plastic barriers between desks, saying they're really not making much of a difference. The CDC also does say it should remain in effect when eating, singing, or cheering. And a sign the world is getting back to normal, movie theaters are back open beginning today. AMC, which is the largest movie theater company, is opening 98% of its theaters, with more expected next Friday. They are having safety protocols in place, including wearing masks, upgraded air filtration, contactless ticketing, seat blocking, and mobile concession ordering. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and locations for COVID testing, vaccinations, and flu shots in and around South Carolina. Visit scdhec.gov for more information. Now, if you also need a test, you can visit gogettested.com. There you can make an appointment, find a location, and get your results in 48 hours. The DHEC Care Line is also open and available, and you can call there to get information on testing, vaccines, organizing a COVID screening at your event or in your neighborhood, also transportation to get a test, and of course, the COVID vaccine. Now, speaking of transportation, if you are unable to go to a testing site and you live in Richland or Clarendon County, you can actually call 911, and paramedics in those cities are actually doing in-person COVID screenings. Also, COVID vaccines are happening at several places, including Lexington Medical Center. You can see the information on the screen for vaccination information at Lexington Medical Center. Vets are also doing all their vaccinations at the VA. And as a matter of fact, the VA just this week started vaccinating any veteran, regardless of the category you're in. Kroger pharmacies are offering COVID vaccinations. Check the screen for details. CVS is offering COVID vaccinations, even in Target stores where there is a CVS. And if you are a senior and you need some help making your appointment, Get Set Up is offering online registration for seniors. Also, as I said in the opening, the Comet is giving free rides to get your vaccination. And if you had a vaccination scheduled yesterday at Gamecock Park, you can actually get your vaccination today. That's right. Today, you can get your vaccination. Don't even have to reschedule if you missed your vaccination yesterday because of the storm at Gamecock Park. And if you are unable to go today, you can call and get your vaccination. One more place I want to tell you about, a pop-up vaccination event is happening today until 5 o'clock in Columbia at Reed Chapel. That's right. Reed Chapel is offering vaccinations, the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccination today until 5 o'clock. And then next week, Thursday, March 25th from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., they're doing vaccinations. Lauren, if you can put that graphic back up. They're doing vaccinations. No, the vaccinations they're doing, right, there you go, at Greater Goodwill AME Church in Mount Pleasant. That's happening next Thursday. All right. All right. The NAACP Housing Assistance Program is going on for landlords, mortgage companies, and tenants. And the South Carolina Bar Association at SC Legal Services has a free toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. And the City of Columbia is continuing their 6-month payment plan for water bills and payment assistance up to 75%. If you need help with virtual learning and working, Rashonda Pratt's YouTube channel has some excellent resources available. Go to Rashonda Pratt's YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. ACA open enrollment is going on until May 15th. So don't forget, you can do several things. Go to healthcare.org, sign up sc.org, and also you can see the number there, 888-998-4646. Whatever you do it, hurry up and do it now and get you some health insurance, and you could be able to get no premiums. Also, a couple of job openings I want to tell you about. Rapid Reliable has job openings. Now, this is a company that does administer COVID testing and vaccinations. They need all types of jobs available. And also, the Fireflies are doing a game day hiring event tomorrow. You can go to their website and place an application and then go for an interview tomorrow, but don't forget to wear your mask. Also, it's Women's History Month, and the WNBA has an initiative where you can purchase this great T-shirt, and some of the proceeds will go to the National Council of Negro Women. One last thing I want to tell you about. Black Lives Matters has received $3 million to help African Americans in need due to the pandemic, and they are specifically looking at caregivers, single parents, those who are transgender, and formerly incarcerated individuals. If you need more information or you want to apply for the loan, it's not a loan, apply for the grant. The information is on the screen. Now, as a matter of fact, everything that I've just talked about, all of this information on jobs, vaccines, COVID testing, all of that will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So at any point, you can definitely find out and get the information. I want to say hi to Deshauna Chanel. She's going to be on the show in April talking about living an alternative lifestyle. I'm looking forward to have that conversation. Donna Mills says hi. You want the city's number to help with light bills. That was water bills, Donna. I don't think the city is helping with light bills because that's SCE&G. But Lauren, if you could put that City of Columbia 6-month payment plan information back up so that Donna could see it, that would be great. There it is. There it is right there, Donna. I don't see it now. There it is right there. The City of Columbia is offering a 6-month payment plan. You can see the water division. Call the City of Columbia's water division, but the information is right there. You're welcome, beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. You are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by, as you heard, SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, In It Together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council presents Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday here on Coping with COVID. And we're also sponsored by Agape Counseling and Training Centers, Palmetto Media Connections, Javis Tax Services, Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall, and the Comet Bus System. Don't forget that we are streaming live on the Tailor Made production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like, share, follow, and post this information out. We are also streaming live on our YouTube channel. Please go over there and subscribe. And we also have a presence on Instagram and also on Twitter. We also want you to please continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses, because this is such a great story that we are going to feature today about Chandra Cleveland. She's got over 30 years experience in law enforcement. She's highly decorated and was honored as the first female deputy of the year, the first and youngest internal affairs director. And she's known for having an incredible reputation for being tough and informed about juvenile and gang-related crime, domestic violence, and other crimes against women and girls. She's been featured on various local and national media outlets and is a highly sought-after self-defense instructor. And today, we're so glad to have her on. Chandra, thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a deal of trying to get on here.
It has been a challenge trying to get us together, but girl, we are here today, and I'm so glad to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Chandra, tell me first, how did you become interested in law enforcement?
Well, it wasn't an interest. actually happened to be a dare. I was modeling and doing acting in California, and I came back several times because my mom was ill. And one night I was staying at the Embassy Suites Hotel, and a deputy happened to be working that night. And I had made the decision after coming back that third time that I may have to move back to Columbia and that I may need a job. And he was talking about, he let it slip, I would say. He didn't tell me, well, maybe you can be a deputy sheriff. He said, well, the sheriff's department is looking for people. And he was like, oh, no, never mind. And I was like, why you say never mind? He was like, oh, no, as prissy as you are, you can never be a police officer.
Wow.
Really now?
Right.
So what did I do? I went ahead and got an application and tried to be a deputy sheriff and got it.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I could definitely see you as a model, actress, you know, that whole thing. And I think one of the big things that stands out about you is that you're not the typical, if there is a typical law enforcement person, because you are always beautifully dressed, hair, makeup, lipstick, boom, 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 the heels. But people know you are not to be reckoned with.
Girl, but they try it. They try it, Trey. And, you know, I hear that a whole lot. I work some of the underground stuff that we had, prostitution, gang girlfriend, a whole lot of other things because I didn't fit the part. And I was able to capture a lot of people with those things. But one thing I say about me that is different from everyone else, regardless of how I catch you as doing a crime, I always treat people as if there was my cousin, my nephew, my brother. And I said, you know, your mom and grandma did not teach you to do this.
Right.
So, you know, I had a great reputation, but when I caught you, you were going to listen to my mouth and you were going to go to jail, no doubt, but you were going to listen to me preach as we go into jail.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, Chandra, because I think this shows that it takes all kinds of people to reach people. And you've got to have people who can meet you where you are. You know what I mean? Who may not look or act or talk or walk the traditional part.
And that is so true, Trey. And I tell people that all the time. You know, I know you said one of my questions will be about how I decided to start my own firm, but that is exactly right, because you have so many different officers who can do certain things. And a lot of guys, when they go into law enforcement, it is to take down the bad guy.
Right.
And, you know, females go into it as the same thing, but we have a little bit more, I should say, empathy and compassion, but we still get the job done.
Yeah. And you do. I mean, you have, like I said, a long-standing, excellent reputation of not only getting the job done, but maybe unconventionally, you know, and like you said, going into areas, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on in the interview, going into areas that maybe someone else may not have been able to go into. Did you have role models and inspirations along your law enforcement journey?
I can't say that I did, Trey.
Yeah.
The only thing that I had made up in my mind was to be the best deputy sheriff or police officer that I could be. So I always looked up everything. I studied crime trends within the area before I was allowed to go into the region. I knew what crimes were taking place. I could tell you like clockwork what domestic violence cases would happen at each address on Friday and Saturday nights. I could tell you what robberies would happen because I studied crime trends before it was a thing of police departments putting out crime trends.
Yeah. What about challenges or setbacks? Did you face any being a woman and an African-American woman?
Oh, now, girl. Yes, I faced some challenges with being a female at the sheriff department. First thing, I was with Alan Sloan. He was the sheriff at the time, and he wasn't very favorable of females being on the road. So I was in dispatch for a while before I was allowed to go on the road. And then, of course, the new sheriff came in and some things changed and I was allowed to go on the road. But yeah, there were some challenges even there. When I got there, you know, people look at me and they say, oh my God, she's going to be calling for backup all day long, wanting us to back up. But they learned very quickly, I'm not that girl. I was a track star in school and I know how to fight very well because
you're just not a pretty face. You're more than a pretty face. Yeah.
Girl, definitely.
Look, girl, don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Don't let it. Don't let it fool you. So, you know, once I got in the region and they saw that I could catch someone without breathing hard, I could talk on the radio without taking harsh breaths after I just was in a chase with someone. So it was like, oh, she can kick butt. Then after a while, they were like, do you know these people? And I'm like, no, I just know that the crime within this area is going to happen around this time. So I just made myself available to be in that area since I was already assigned to that area to be there. So my career was very successful on the street and as in different divisions that I went to. And I don't think anybody can say that it was no other than my hard work and my diligence of people who know me, even the ones that I have arrested, Trey. They will call me and still yet today thank me for arresting them, whether it was a DUI, whether it was a female that I went to after hours, after I got off work and went and talked to her and tell her that there's options for her, that she doesn't have to be here in this setting. And I think, well, no, I know that was very important for me to have done because so many women followed my lead and left that dangerous relationship safely under my watch.
Well, you have, and I'm going to just move forward to that since you're talking about it. You have really become such an advocate and such an expert for women and girls to avoid undesirable situations, and did that come from, like you said, just kind of working the streets and getting to know these women and girls and developing a relationship with them? Did that just kind of blossom into you just keying in on maybe this is my niche?
That's exactly right, Trey. I mean, just with me being on patrol and talking to those women, like I said, I would go back after I got off duty to make sure that she was okay because I knew he was locked up. I make sure that she was okay, gave her the information and resources that were available to her in order for her to stay safe. And not only that, make sure that she knew that there was help and financial help for her to leave with her children safely so that they would have a more safe environment. And when I saw that it was working, one day I sat down and one of my friends wrote me this long letter saying that she never have felt more safe and more confident in her life that she can do something.
Wow.
And it was all because of me making the arrangements of her to get out of that dangerous relationship safely with her children. And now she is doing things. She's major in what she's doing, and she's with a major corporation, and she and her kids are doing fine, and she's married again. And it's just so many different, I should say, situations that I have like that of women who have contacted me. So I just know that it works, and I know that all law enforcement cannot do that. It has to be something that is within you as a person in order to take that extra effort.
Absolutely. And you know what? I just think back to when you said you were pursuing another career and then the universe, the Lord, life brought you back to Columbia. That was all a part of what God had planned for your journey so that you could impact other people's lives.
Definitely. I really do think it was all a part of the journey. I know that during my life as a young person, I did have someone who tried to, and I think back then when it was my age, it was called date rape, that someone who tried me and was not successful, and how I handled that situation with that person, and talking to him about how did you think that would be okay. I mean, I made not only an impact for myself to protect myself, but also I made him understand that that's not correct.
Right.
And after talking to him and telling him about things, he just said other girls didn't mind it.
Yeah, Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says that's so interesting, girl. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation with about people, take you as far as they can take you. Because
they will. It's what you will. It really is what you will allow. Yeah. And regardless if you say that you're sorry, you go sorry somewhere else with another day, but not this day. You're going to answer to what you have done, and we're going to hold you accountable for that. So that to me is everything. I mean, I can really relate to someone trying to violate you. And I think that's what other women and girls, when I go out to talk to them, that they feel so open to share their journey with me of what's going on in their life.
Yeah, we're talking to Investigator Chandra Cleveland about her life in law enforcement and her years of advocating for women and girls. Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says a great life story of perseverance. She said someone once told her, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Wow, that's huge.
Definitely.
Yeah. Want to thank everyone for watching Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. We're talking to Investigator Chandra Cleveland on Faith Friday, and she's been sharing with us her story of how she got into law enforcement. She's been in law enforcement now over 30 years, and how she's become a leading expert in trafficking. And trafficking is big in South Carolina, Chandra. That's just crazy, girl. Now, I hear that the big thing is in this area, because we have so many interstates, 20, 77, 26. Is that correct?
It is. And, the other big reason why it's so widely here in the state of South Carolina is that it's overlooked when it comes to the majority party that it's affecting. I mean, I can tell you the stats on sex trafficking. Sex trafficking has been around for a long time. I know that I bought sex trafficking to Facebook on my account of Facebook, Keeping Up With Me, in 2006, when a young girl walked into my office showing everything except her social security number. And I had my secretary to sit her in the back and get to her later. And when I talked to her and I said, before we start, I just want to ask you one question. What made you think it was okay for you to come dressed this way for an interview? And she looked at me, and I was looking dead in her eyes, and her chin started quivering. And the tears started showing up in her eyes. And she said, this was the most decent thing that I had.
Wow, girl.
And of course, you know me, it broke my heart. And I'm like, okay, there's something behind this. If this is the most decent thing that you have, there's more to this story. And I told her, I do not mean anything by that. If you need something, I got you. You are my little sister. And I talked to her that day only to find out that she was coerced and tricked to come here to the state of South Carolina by a military guy who made her get emancipated from where she came from and had her in a hotel where he was selling her out of the hotel. And the hotel maintenance man was the one who was getting all the money.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Danielle Lake says, thank you for your commitment to serving in the way you are. She says it's so evident that you're doing your work from your heart, along with what you've learned through formal training. Bravo, and continue to uphold your glam. And she is, while doing your job, especially your work in human trafficking. Yeah. So
thank you, Danielle.
A little bit more about this human trafficking thing, because like you said, it's such a big deal in South Carolina. You said because our legislators, our people in charge, are not really tackling it. What do we need to know as mothers, as women, as leaders in our community, as people who have nieces, cousins, teachers, whatever? What do we need to be saying to our girls and be looking at?
Trey, I tell you, right when you and I finish, I have a 6 o'clock. It'll be 6 o'clock our time, but I have several conferences set up that I am explaining to people what sex trafficking looks like in the United States. And sex trafficking looks like 58% African American women. In the state of South Carolina, they said it's 40% of African American girls. Still, yet that's more than any other race there is. And in certain areas, such as Los Angeles, Louisiana, Los Angeles has 90%, 92% African American women are their sex trafficking victims. Louisiana has 89% of all their sex trafficking victims are African American women. This is a pandemic for our young girls. I see this happening so much, and I see that it's being glorified all through social media with OnlyFans. OnlyFans now is becoming one of the most prominent places that girls are exploited. Our girls are learning that it's okay to exploit themselves by selling themselves, but guys are the main ringleaders behind the exploitation of young girls who are having these rooms in OnlyFans of sex acts that they're performing, of how much money they get. But in our community, where we have this increase of African American girls in our own community, most of the suspects are African American males.
Wow.
That is something else that is really pertinent to me.
Yeah.
As I go out and I train other people what sex trafficking look like, it's hardly ever a man in the crowd. I want our men to step forward. I want to train at least 4,000 men this summer what sex trafficking looks like, because whatever happened to the notion, not daddy's little girl.
Right.
Little daddy's little girl will not be having the opportunity to be exploited all over social media. What happened to the men protecting their daughter, saying, who is this guy you're dating? I need to meet him. I need to know his government name.
Yes, yes.
Whatever happened to the parents who are seeing their daughters come home with items that they did not purchase? Your daughter does not have a job. How did she get a gold necklace? How did she get her nails done? How did she get her hair done? Where did the clothes come from? Those are things that parents should know. Sex trafficking does not mean that they're going to take your child away and they're going to be kidnapped and taken somewhere for days and days. Your child can come home every single night after being sex trafficked. That's what parents need to know.
Right.
And when it starts getting hot, Trey, this is where you start seeing they're sleeping all the time. They look like they're under the influence of something. Parents are having arguments. The young people are walking out, staying overnight, or either staying away for days before they return back home, only to find out it was a time that someone else, some young man is on the other end of that, telling them, okay, I'll take care of you. So that's why she's out all of those days. And the biggest thing, Trey, that I have to take a breath on in order to say is that most of our girls who this is happening to, because the guys use the Romeo tactics in order to get these girls, most of our girls will never admit that they were sex trafficked.
Wow. Is it because they don't think that's what it is?
Exactly. They think that is their boyfriend.
Wow.
They were making money with their boyfriend. They were making money for him and her together because they have been brainwashed to the point of a Stockholm syndrome that they believe what these men are saying to them.
Right. And they think that's love. That's what relationship looks like.
Exactly, because there's no other male figure around in order to tell them and explain to them what love really is.
We're talking to Investigator Chandra Cleveland about her work at 30 years in law enforcement, highly decorated, nationally known, and she's been telling us about the huge problem. She says 58% of African-American girls in South Carolina sex traffic. We're going to come right back with Chandra to share more about how we can help these girls, particularly, well, whether they have men in their homes or not, but as women, what we need to do. Also, she shares some important information on how we need to protect ourselves during the pandemic and the incredible direction that her career is going into. It's Faith Friday. I'm Tre Tailor, and we're talking to Chandra Cleveland, and we'll talk to her more next on Coping with COVID. We'll be right back.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
When it's time for you, I have all anything, money, finances, access to. That's what will save you money. Davis Tax Service. Only tax drive-through. Davis Tax Service. Look up, speak to you. Davis Tax Service. Handling your money out of hours. Davis Tax Service. Now you know what to do.
Visit Davis Tax Service today, 803-419-1001.
Hi, I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Because of the COVID-19 virus, we have had to learn new ways to be together. We've had to find new ways to communicate. We have to find new ways to play. And we have to find new ways to keep each other safe. For myself and my family, I'm going to take the COVID-19 vaccine. To learn more about the vaccine, go to cdc.gov. Let's do this together.
Coping with COVID celebrates Women's History Month. Cecilia Elena Rouse is the first African-American to chair the Council of Economic Advisors. The U.S. economist served as a member of the council under President Obama and is currently Dean of the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs. Her academic research has focused on education, discrimination, and the forces that hold people back in the American economy. Republicans and Democrats praised her and her work during her confirmation hearing, voting unanimously to send the nomination to the full Senate. Cecilia Elena Rouse, the first African-American to chair the Council of Economic Advisors. Celebrating every woman. It's a Women's History Month celebration on Coping with COVID from Tailor Made Productions.
It's Faith Friday on Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic, information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. I'm Tre Tailor. And today we're talking to Investigator Chandra Cleveland, who joins us again. The over 30-year veteran of law enforcement, was the first female deputy of the year, the first and youngest internal affairs director, and has been featured on various local and national media outlets. The highly sought after self-defense instructor is president and CEO of Columbia Private Investigators and Security Consultants. When we left, Chandra, we were talking about the sex trafficking, and I say it's a problem in South Carolina. So you're saying 58% of African American girls, of the people being trafficked, they're 58% African American girls. Many of them, the majority of them, are being trafficked by African American males. So it's not a scary white guy.
Right? Trey, it is not a scary white guy. And the statistics of 58%, South Carolina says that it is about, I think here, 45.5 or something like that, as far as African American girls. But 58%, there's more that do not or have not, or law enforcement did not classify as sex trafficking, because again, most of the victims do not address themselves as being sex trafficked. And that is so, exactly, and that is so true, that most of the time that they're sex trafficked is by somebody that looks like us.
Yeah.
And I can talk over and over again about it, and I am so passionate about what I do. These guys, I'm talking to you. You see a man with a young girl, regardless of how she may be developed, once she opens her mouth, you know that's somebody's child. Why aren't you checking your brothers? Why don't you check them and say, how old is that girl? A lot of us have a part to do on this, Trey. It's on all of us. It's on all of us to do our part in order to save these girls. And it seems like our community is getting numb to the fact that these girls are out here saying, oh, they're fast, that's somebody else's problem. No, I refuse to do that. I don't care how many times that they run away. They are being manipulated by someone else who's older, and I'm going to do all that I can to make sure they get the proper resources to know that that's not love.
Yeah, you make such a good point, because we're easy to girl. We are easy to say, oh, she's so fun. We're easy just to judge. Let me just start there.
That part.
Yeah. We're easy to judge. And, how many of us used to be whatever we used to be before we are what we are now? And if you're growing up, you're young, you're just trying to figure it out. Okay, maybe she's fast, but who knows what she's going through at home?
Trey, that part, all of that you just said, most of the girls that are out here doing things like this, and I can't even say most of them, but some of them have been sexually assaulted at home. And so they say, well, if I'm getting this at home, I might as well go out and get paid for it. Still yet, we have to talk to them. I talk to them with the resources behind me to show them that's not the answer. I don't care what everybody else is doing. Our society is so sexualized that it's like everything needs to be sex. And lo and behold, once you give a teenager a phone, parents don't even hardly know how to work the phone. But when you give them the phone, now their eyes are open to millions of infested, sick people that's out there to manipulate them. Trey, earlier this week, I was called out at 11:30 in the morning. A mother woke up to notice that her daughter was not in the bed. She called my phone and she said, Miss Cleveland, I don't know what's going on. I know that you shouldn't work this. You don't work this late at night. My daughter is missing and I don't know where she is. One thing that's bad about me, my phone is on all the time. So I got up to answer the call. Lo and behold, she had a tracker on her phone by her mom that she did not know, which turned out to be the best thing of her life. Right. And when I got her back at 4:00 in the morning, she went out to meet someone who said that they were her age, 14. Right. And they wanted her to come out and let's just watch the stars together at night.
Yeah.
And she fell for it. Thought they were going to go out and meet out. He was like, I'll be in your neighborhood. Just come meet me down at the end of the corner and we'll just walk and go sit in the park.
Let's just stop there for a minute, because at 14, you don't even realize that sounds odd for another 14-year-old to be.
Girl.
Why are you, as an adult, I'm like, why are you at 14 outside at 11 o'clock looking at the stars? But for a 14-year-old.
Yeah. So
I guess the moral of the story was, he wasn't 14.
Exactly. He was not 14, was able to get to her just before something happened. She was wanting to leave the minute she saw him. The minute she saw him, she was like, you're not 14. Then everything she said after me talking to her and getting her, she said, Officer Cleveland, everything came to me that my mom said, watch who you're talking online. Everybody's not who they say they could be. People are hiding behind keyboards, texting things and writing things. She cried the whole time because this man, he did get a chance to touch her. He got a chance to touch her in a way that she was not ready for. But with me tracking her down from her data footprints and her social media and having that tracker from her mom, it's what saved her.
Wow. So Chandra, what should we, and Mitchell Peace Joy Jen says it's good to know what our parents, schools, and churches should look out for concerning sex trafficking. She said she wanted to know, is there an increase in this problem due to students online more due to virtual learning? But before you get to her question, and thank you, Mitchell, I do want to know, so tracking your child's phone, that's one big thing that parents should do.
Oh, definitely. I tell parents all the time, we have some great tracking software. My company has great tracking software that you can put on your child's phone. I have had parents saying, that's an invasion of my child's privacy. I am not going to do that.
What?
Okay, well, don't call me when your child goes missing and you cannot find them. It is so important that you do this, parents, because these guys are out here laying it on so thick that you won't even know your child. I have a parent right now I'm dealing with. She don't even recognize her child. Her child has had a cell phone for 6 months and now has turned into somebody she does not even recognize. The influence of the cell phone is powerful to these young people.
Yeah.
At least you as a parent, before you give it to them, you can make sure some software is on there to protect them.
Yeah. So software is one thing. What's something else? And you're right. Everything is so sexualized today. And I guess as a parent, you want to give them a little bit of freedom. You don't want to hover over them. You hear everybody say, well, when I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. But there's so much more now, Chandra, than when we were kids.
Nothing like other time in this world that you can do as a kid should do and not get scarred for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So why would you even want to say, I will let my child do what they need to do when that could be the very last time that you see your child?
Yeah. I mean, I even to go as far as the music. I mean, again, listen, I'm not trying to be a prude, but I am just saying we have got to be conscientious. And listen, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a fan of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and all of that. But I'll tell you one thing. Cardi B did say, she clapped back at, some people who were talking about her Grammy performance. She said, I don't make music for children.
Exactly.
I make children music for adults. Don't have your children listening to my music. She was very,
she said that a long time ago.
Right.
But you can say that all you want to. But when you are in front of millions of children over and over and over again, you can say it till you're blue in the face. That means absolutely nothing. Because they're watching you and they're going to do and wear what you have. Otherwise, if you didn't sell your music for young people, why are you one of the spokesperson for clothing that clothe young people?
Kids wear? Yeah. You're right. You make a great point. We're talking to Investigator Chandra Cleveland, and we're talking about what we can do to protect our young people. We had a couple of things, other things I wanted to talk to her about, but this is such an important conversation, Chandra. I want to stay here so we can talk about what we need to do. So you said, we need to monitor what they're doing, what they're listening to, what they're reading, what they're watching more. We need to get the software on their phone. What else do we need to do? Not only as parents, but as aunties, as church members,
You can see it. You can see the change in them. When you see the change, you need to start questioning it. You don't question and say, what are you doing? You know, somebody could sex traffic you or whatever. No, just ask them regular questions. You got a boyfriend? Oh, tell me about that boyfriend.
Gotcha.
Listen to what they say, how their perception of a boyfriend is. That's first conversation that would tell you if your child may be easily influenced to be sex trafficked. That is so huge. And during the pandemic, as you asked earlier, the numbers are just crazy of kids being missing. It's millions of calls of minors in sexual exploited positions on the internet that internet safety has been getting. It increased 400% almost from internet crimes of young people being exposed to sexual oriented things online. So, Trey, the pandemic and this computer and technology has not been good for our young people. Our young people are at a point that they don't understand what's going on with COVID and the pandemic, and they want to see people, and they're going to do almost anything that they can in order to get to their friends, to get to speak to other people, to get to be around other people. And if you have a young man you're talking to, and he's telling you how beautiful you are and that he can't wait to see you. Oh, I want to see you. I wish you could come this week. These are some of the things this guy was saying to her that she finally went out to see him. Guess how long he was talking to her over the internet?
Months.
2.5 months he's been working on getting her,
getting in her head,
room, playing with her head, getting into her psyche, and she went out there. It is not good for parents to think, I want to give my child an opportunity to do something. We need to train our girls. We need to get the training that is for real. If you know what I'm saying, talking like they should understand.
Right.
Say, oh, sex trafficking is this, so don't go do this. No, girl, listen to me. One of the things that is not good is you saying that your boyfriend has 2 other girlfriends. What kind of relationship is that? Babe, that's not a relationship.
Right. Yeah, we just need to be real with our girls, right? You're just saying we just need to be real with them.
We need to be real, and we need to look them in their face daily. We need to have simple conversations. Girl, that's a cute outfit you got on. What you doing? Who are you trying to impress?
Right.
Different things just like that. Okay, I see you got your nails done this week. I haven't really noticed that you've been getting nails done and all that.
Yeah.
Your makeup, girl, how did you get the eyelashes on like that? You got eyelashes now? Simple conversations that you can changes without causing a disturbance. Don't go at her like, what are you doing? You're not grown.
Right. Yeah.
Now you just started a whole wall to be built up. And some of the girls who are you building up a wall because you come at them at the wrong way, you just pushing them out the door to that guy.
Wow.
So the training that I give, training other people give, that's real life trainings. That's what you need to have. That's what we need in our community. We need to saturate our communities right now with training about sexual exploitation. I cannot tell you how many girls have come to me who have been exploited or sextortion, and sextortion is newly to the FBI, maybe about 5 years. That's when someone videotapes you without your knowledge and they start sharing it or say they're going to share it unless you do something in favor for them.
Wow. Chandra, it's so much going on with our young people and young women and girls. And you have, your website, it's on me to I think safely. And I'm going to bring up your website because people can actually go to the website and get more information on all of these things that we're talking about, right? And that you have trainings and information and all of that people can have access to, correct?
That is correct. I have training, and I don't put everything on the website, and I don't do my trainings on Zoom and give all information. Reason why is because I don't know who's really listening.
Right. That's right.
So this training and different things that parents need to know, and organizations and mothers and fathers need to know, I would like to be in that face-to-face connection. I need our brothers, our fraternities, our organizations, our dads to get ahead of this thing, because when I say that it is now, I think it's maybe 79,000 missing women and girls of color that are missing. 79,000. So what do you think the numbers are going to do now? Some kids are still missing and haven't been accounted for because family members are involved in their missing.
Right.
And with kids being out of school, abuse and all of these other things, Trey, are at an all-time high. I have scheduling to go and speak to a lot of middle and high schools coming up soon. And one of the main things the school said is that, Chandra, we got to do something about the morality of these kids. We need you to talk to these girls and tell them, how good it is to be a woman. I always say that did you not know this election was made and safely assured by a group of women?
Women, yes.
Women that looks like you and me.
Yeah.
I need to point out all the good things that women can do, and women can be heads of CEOs of corporations and over MSNBC. I mean, it is just like we are unstoppable when we concentrate on the goals that are in front of us. We are not our bodies.
Right.
We're more than just our bodies.
Wow. Chandra, if people want more information about the services you offer, and I appreciate the fact that you don't give everything out on Zoom, because like you said, you don't know who's listening. And if the enemy, if the perpetrator, is listening, then they've got the game plan, so to speak. So you are doing in-person sessions.
I am. Yeah. I've been vaccinated. I had both vaccinations. I am doing in-person services. And of course, I'm using a different shield that I go out and speak with, but I am.
And if people want more information, I think we have your information, Lauren. If you could put it up on the screen, please contact Chandra Cleveland. You can check out her website if we can get her information, Investigator Chandra Cleveland. And that's the office number, her fax number, and then her website. And of course, we've got her website up here, and you can see all of the services she offers: private investigations and security, self-defense. I've been to some of the self-defense classes, which are amazing. Of course, speaking events. You can actually get more information on her website, book her online. But whatever you do, please contact Chandra, because again, she is a respected, trusted, and experienced and trained investigator, and she has our women and girls' needs and wants and desires and best interests at heart. So
yes,
she's the
Trey,
person.
And I also train corporations. I train school districts. I train with DSS. I train with other corporations to make sure they know what to look for in sex trafficking. I train law enforcement around the world. Of course, I haven't trained any law enforcement in our state just yet. I have one planned for next month, finally, but I train law enforcement, people in the community that has connections with what's going on in their community and want to save our girls. I train.
Yeah. And she can train you and your organization or your family too. Chandra, thank you so much for joining. You got to come back because there's so much more that I wanted to talk to you about, what you're working on next. But thank you so much. As I think Danielle, one of our viewers, said, thank you so much for your commitment and for your work in our community. And keep us informed of what we need to do, because you're right, it's our responsibility. I mean, we can look over and say that's not my child, or she's so fast, or whatever, but all of it impacts all of our quality of living. It all impacts all of our quality of living, because it could be one of our family members anytime,
at any point.
Yeah. Thank you, beautiful, so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID on Faith Friday. Again, please contact Chandra Cleveland if you want more information. Hey, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please go to the Tailor Made production page and inbox me. I'd love to feature your story on Coping with COVID. Now, if you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwith@tretailor@gmail.com. And we would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Also, Wellness Wednesday sponsors In It Together, and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Also, Javis Tax Services, celebrating 20 years of providing expert financial services to South Carolinians. Agape Counseling and Training Services. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, please contact the caring professionals at Agape Counseling and Training Center. Palmetto Media Connections. The ComEd, offering free rides to get your vaccine. And also professional, reliable, dependable, and affordable computer sales and service. Call Daniel at Computers Unique in Dutch Square Mall. I'm Tre Tailor. As always, I leave you with a spiritual reading. I moved from Jesus Calling. I'm doing 100 Days of Believing Bigger from Marshawn Evans Daniels. I wanted to do this because several people told me this was such a great devotional, and because I'm believing God for some big things, I wanted to share it with some of you that may also be believing God for some big things in this season. This is releasing perfectionism. And how many of us as women and men try to be perfectionists? It says, "The Lord will perfect that which concerns me. Your mercy, O Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands." Here's the devotion. It's easy for us to trust our own abilities, accomplishments, and experiences as indications of our capabilities. The good news is that as a daughter created in the image of the Most High God, you are indeed full of infinite potential and possibility. You've got it, girl. But even as a carrier of God's divine DNA, we are still limited by the human body, mind, and perspective. God alone has the entire world in his hands. He has the only view that sees all things interwoven from beginning to end. And the even greater news is this, that God is far better at working out all things, far better than you are. Above the word perfect is used as an action word. It means to refine, improve, and put on the finishing touches. Perfectionism, our wanting to control circumstances to create favorable outcomes, can be dangerous to our destiny. Your destiny isn't really yours. This was what we were talking about with Chandra. You're a critical part of God's bigger plan, but let's not forget, it's his plan we must learn to joyously and expectantly surrender to. Know that he will perfect everything that concerns you. Perfecting is what God loves to do. I'm Tre Tailor. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Listen, you have a beautiful weekend. Take care. Stay well. Be blessed. Get your vaccine. And you still need to wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. See ya.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council. Presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the city of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.